OSHA issued citations for 1 willful and 1 serious violation and 2 repeat violations related to its failures to provide adequate systems to prevent trench cave-ins, stop nearby materials from falling into the trench, and ensure a trench exit within 25 feet.
We will start off with Boss Watch. We had to push Boss Watch out because we had we wanted to go a little long on those interviews, but still some good stuff here. Not good stuff, but we want to make sure that we give it to you. Boss Watch is kind of the mirror image of our Last Week in Southern Labor segment, where we take a look at what bosses were up to in the in the U.S. South and the American colonies. Starting off in Texas, an El Paso contractor could have prevented a 37-year-old employee from suffering fatal injuries in February of 2024 by following federally required safety standards to avoid trench collapses, the same failure for which the U.S. Department of Labor has cited the employer 6 times for since 2015. I mean, that is...
Wow.
I mean, we should, if you were cited for the same failure 6 times since 2015, and then somebody dies from that same failure that you have been cited for 6 times. I mean, we're talking about, we should be talking about criminal penalties here. I mean, this is really, we should be talking about manslaughter charges, but they're bosses, so different rules apply to them. The department's Occupational Safety and Health Administration determined a pipe layer for CMD Endeavors Incorporated was allowed to work in an excavation without a proper protective system. The trench collapsed, causing pieces of asphalt to fall and severely injure the worker, who later died in an area hospital. The city of El Paso had contracted the company for pipe work for the Cedar Grove Waterline Replacement Project, part of a citywide initiative. OSHA issued citations to CMD Endeavors for 1 willful and 1 serious violation and 2 repeat violations related to its failures to provide adequate systems to prevent trench cave-ins, stop nearby materials from falling into the trench, and ensure a trench exit within 25 feet and support adjacent pavement. The company faces over $250,000 in proposed penalties. Over in Virginia, as part of a settlement with the U.S. Department of Labor, Maersk Line Limited, one of the world's largest marine cargo service providers, will change its safety reporting policies and compensate a seaman the company terminated after they reported safety concerns to the U.S. Coast Guard without first notifying their employer. The actions follow a 3-day hearing in June of 2024 where Maersk challenged the findings of a whistleblower investigation by the department's Occupational Safety and Health Administration, found that the company violated the employee's rights under the Federal Seamen's Protections Act by retaliating against the seaman. OSHA found the company policy, which forbid employees from contacting the U.S. Coast Guard or other federal, state, or local regulatory agencies without first notifying the company, violated federal law. Workers have the right to report safety concerns directly to authorities without fear of retaliation. The investigation began after the seaman alerted the U.S. Coast Guard about the safety concerns aboard the Safe Marine Mafati, a 50,000-ton, 958-foot container ship in December of 2020. They included lifeboat equipment in need of repair and replacement, crew members on board in possession of and possibly consuming alcohol, improper supervision of cadet seamen, and a bilge system not preventing cargo holds from flooding. In a settlement reached after the hearing in Boston, Maersk agreed to make the following changes: remove any requirement that workers notify the company before contacting the U.S. Coast Guard, refrain from retaliation against the seaman who contacted the U.S. Coast Guard, provide all supervisors with training on the revised policy, distribute the OSHA's Seamen's Protection Act fact sheet to seamen aboard its U.S. flagged vessels for the next 2 years. Maersk also agreed to future compliance with all applicable regulations and to compensate the terminated seamen for lost wages and damages. Under the terms of the settlement, however, Maersk did not admit to violations of the Seamen's Protection Act.
Hey, 5 seconds, just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
And in North Carolina, the U.S. Department of Labor announced that its Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs has entered into a conciliation agreement with one of the nation's leading producers of bedding components and home and work furniture, in which the federal contractor will pay $400,000 in back wages and interest to resolve alleged hiring discrimination at a High Point production facility. During a routine compliance review of Leggett and Platt Incorporated, the Office of Federal Compliance Programs determined that between November 23, 2018 and November 23, 2020, the employer's hiring practices at the facility discriminated against 308 black, white, and Hispanic applicants for production associate positions in violation of Executive Order 11246. The law prohibits federal contractors from discriminating in employment based on race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin. That's a pretty interesting case, discriminating against black, white, and Hispanic applicants. That is pretty funny. In addition to paying back wages to affected class members, the conciliation agreement requires Leggett and Platt to provide 30 job offers to eligible class members as positions become available. The company also agreed to review and revise its hiring process and ensure its hiring policies and procedures are free from discrimination. In dishonorable mentions, we had several this week. First off, a U.S. DOL Wage and Hour Division investigation found the owner of Pace Enterprise, LLC, operating as Pace Realty Group, misclassified 37 maintenance workers and parts runners as independent contractors, and by doing so, failed to pay them overtime for hours over 40 in a work week. Additionally, the employer failed to keep legally required records. They recovered $75,000 in overtime wages and $75,000 in liquidated damages for 37 employees. The U.S. Department of Labor announced today that its Mine Safety Health and Health Administration completed impact inspections at 15 mines in 12 states, including Georgia, Kentucky, Missouri, Virginia, and West Virginia in June 2024, and cited mine operators for 195 violations. The U.S. Department of Labor has asked a federal court in Houston to stop the owner and operator of 17 single-family residential group homes and a day habilitation center for adults with disabilities, Team Abilities LLC, and its founder and CEO, Rachel Jex, from violating several federal employment regulations and pay $115,000 in stolen overtime wages and another $115,000 in liquidated damages owed to 56 current and former workers. VibraLife of Katy LLC, a rehabilitation and assisted living facility in Katy, Texas, violated federal law when it denied an employee an accommodation for her sleep disorder and then fired her, the EEOC charged in a lawsuit. The EEOC also sued Missouri-based trucking company Transportation Management Group, doing business as Wilson Logistics, for violating federal law when it refused to hire a deaf job applicant because of his disability. Mia Aesthetics Services, ATL, LLC, and Mia Aesthetic Services, LLC, a cosmetic surgery provider with offices in 11 U.S. cities, illegally discriminated against a disabled employee when it refused to provide a reasonable accommodation and terminated her employment, the EEOC charged in a lawsuit. And finally, Walmart Stores East will pay $75,000 and furnish other relief to settle a disability discrimination lawsuit brought by the EEOC, which alleged that the company fired a North Carolina employee after they requested a reasonable accommodation, were denied the accommodation, and then fired after they made a complaint to HR. You can get Boss Watch and Last Week in Southern Labor as a newsletter right in your inbox every single week on Monday and Tuesday. You can do that at tvlr.fm/contact. Just let us know that you would like to be on the email newsletter list. tvlr.fm/contact. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.